Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Listen, we are going to jump right on in today. Hold on, y'all. We gotta fix the lighting. We're gonna jump right on in because apparently, see, I'm working from home today. And apparently I left my laptop charger in the office. So we're we're gonna jump right on in. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nichica Melton, and what I do is I work with high level achievers to help you get to your desired future faster. So I help you identify and discard the unproductive hats that are creating the overwhelm, the overworked, the overstretchedness in your life. All right. And so if you were on last session, because we do this every second and fourth Friday, if you were on the last session, then we worked with Ron, who was kind enough to answer the questions for the circle of life. Now, the circle of life, let me show you all really quick. So, when you order your planner, the circle of life is there for you to answer the questions and get through it. Let me see how much. Okay, it says I've got how much I got left. Oh, it says I got a good hour. Okay, y'all. Whew, God is good. All right. So, for those of y'all that are chiming in, or those of you that are watching, let me know where you're watching from. Put your city and state in. I'm checking comments. Those of you who watch regularly, you see me looking down. You know that I am checking comments on YouTube, as well as in the Facebook group. Let your people know that we are live right now. So, what I want to do, or what I'm going to do today, is we're going to go through the 6 steps of creating goals. And I don't know if hi Noreen, what's up, girl? You feeling good? You back from Cancun? You probably wish you was back there. Listen, I know you probably wish you were back there. Um, So we're going to go through the 6 steps of creating goals. And hopefully, if Ron's not on, he can watch the replay. That way, with the next session, he'll be ready to answer the questions so that I can help him create the goals. But I want everyone, make sure you're taking notes. Make sure you are asking your questions in the chat, because this is the process that you're going to go through every single time. Every single time. This is what you're going to take yourself through. Okay? And so I'm going to share my screen. I wish I was still. Yeah, I know you do, child. I know you do. What? Yes. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go through this presentation. All right, so hopefully, yeah, that's coming through pretty good. Let's get into presentation mode. All right. Hey, Brittany. Let me turn my volume a little bit so I can make sure I'm not losing myself with the sound. So for those of you who are not familiar, y'all see that made with gamma at the bottom. If you were on my training that I did with BPC, I talked about that. All right, we can hear me. Good, good, good. I talked about that. And so I created this presentation as well. And thank God, because I would not have had enough battery life to go live today. So we thank God for ChatGPT. We thank God for Gamma Hiller. And I know that there are other options out there, but that's what I use today. All right, so we're going to go through the 6 steps of creating of goal setting. All right. And I know there are many out there who are like, I create my goals, I set my goals, I do the things, but you have to do it effectively so that you can also be effective. Because as a productivity coach, I'm going to tell you straight up, straight up. I've not come across one person who has done it correctly. No shade, no, no harm, no shade, no disrespect, nothing, none of that. We know how to create big, vague goals. Okay. What I am showing you is how to take those big, vague goals and actually make them specific. Specific. Let me turn my heater off because I don't know if that's going to mess with y'all heard that beep. That's my heater that I have at my desk in my home office. All right, so why goal setting matters. And I know you what I'm going to read, you already know it somewhere in your mind, but I need you to let this be imprinted on your shanana. Okay? I mean, I need this all within you. Okay? Goals are the compass that guide us through life's complexities. They provide clear direction when we face countless choices. They help us sustain motivation during challenging times and sharpen our focus on what truly matters. With well defined goals, we become architects of our future rather than passive observers. So that means that the goals are helping you stay in the lane that you're supposed to be in. Okay. Let me put this in Nichica speak. Stay in the lane that you're supposed to be in, not allow anyone to tag along that's not supposed to be there, and be clear on the direction that you're going. If you have ever been using your GPS and you don't take the turn that the GPS wants you to take, then it starts saying rerouting, 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 rerouting. When your goals are not where they're supposed to be, that's where you find yourself in life. Rerouting, rerouting, rerouting. We don't want that. That's wasting your time. That's wasting your gas. That's wasting all of the resources. And then you're getting stressed, you're getting upset, and all these other things when all you had to do was just sit down, get rid of the big vague goal, and get specific. Without goals, we drift through life in reactive mode, responding to whatever comes our way instead of deliberately shaping our path. We may stay busy, and y'all know what I say about busy, honey. Busyness without direction rarely leads to fulfillment or meaningful achievement. Meaning, you can be busy. That does not mean you're productive. You can be exhausted. That doesn't mean you accomplished anything you were supposed to. Hello? I mean, can I get an amen in the chat, please? It doesn't mean that you're accomplishing what you're supposed to be accomplishing. It just means that you're tired. Okay. A car can spin its wheels in the mud, burn out all of its gas, and still not go what? Anywhere. I don't want that for you. My goal always is to help you get to your desired future faster. And this is the way. Effective goals do more than create vague aspirations. They move us systematically toward our desired future with remarkable clarity, transforming abstract dreams into concrete action plans. When properly set, goals become powerful tools that bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to be. This is when you have clear goals, when your goals are smart, you know when to say no, you know when to say yes, you know when to say not now. You can implement the 3Ds that I'm always talking about because your goals are clear. No harm, no shade, no disrespect to anybody that may be asking for your assistance, but they have to fit within the vision, which is what your goals are feeding off of. Step 1. So this is the first step. Clarify your purpose. Start with why. Now, why my web root trying to come up now? Chad, playing games. Playing games. Before setting any goal, pause and ask yourself, why does this goal truly matter to me? Your why is going to keep you motivated and focused. When I was doing a webinar, one of the people on the webinar said, how do you stay motivated? How can you stay motivated to get, the necessary things done? And I told them, you have to know your why. And your why has to be solid and sure. If you're doing something because somebody else told you to do it, if you're living out somebody else's dream and not your own, that why is shaky. Honey, that why is on shaky ground and it is not sustaining you. If you were watching the Ignite to Profits conference in June, I talked about how, even for myself, I had listened to other people tell me what my goals should be. And they had fed the goal of going to school, getting the education, getting the degree, great job, having a family, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And that's great because for somebody that's amazing. Okay? But that wasn't my goal. Not a 4-year institution. I had talked about how I wanted to be a cosmetologist. Look at life. Hiller, when you understand your why, the how becomes clearer and the daily effort feels meaningful rather than burdensome. I get excited doing this because I know I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this to help somebody else. I'm helping somebody else get to their desired future. I'm helping somebody else determine, did I take this path because of what I was told I needed to do? Or is this what I really, really want to do? There is a difference. So clarify your purpose by starting with your why. And if you've not written out your why, I would encourage you to put that on a post-it note. It should not be a 5-page letter to yourself. Ma'am and sir, you can put it on a post-it note as far as your why, just as your reminder. You can also make it a screensaver on your devices, your phone, your laptop, your tablet. So every time you open it up, you have that. When my youngest daughter was in school, and she graduated with full university honors. She was in the honors program. She studied abroad for a while. She's so much like her mom, it is ridiculous. She is going for the gusto, go hard or go home. And she went through this period where she was just really, really stressed. And she was texting me, and I sent her a text message. And what she did was she made that her screensaver until she got out of school, because that was her daily reminder of her why. Do that. Do that. And you know what? Don't worry about people being nosy. Because if they start asking questions, baby, that's an open door for you to start talking about what you're doing, who you are, who you serve, sell a book or three. That's a client. So get on in there. Step 2, define clear and specific goals. So this is where we start with the SMART framework. The SMART goal system is not all of the steps of creating SMART goals. Please understand that. Please understand that. It's not. It's part of it. So step 1 is clarifying your purpose, knowing your why. Step 2, once you have clarified and you know your purpose, you know your why, then you go into the SMART framework, where we're talking about the specific, the measurable, the achievable, the relevant, time bound or time relevant. And I just saw last week where they changed the R again. I said, child, I'm going to need y'all to make up your mind and pick a team. Okay. We're going with relevant. Specific, clearly define what you want to accomplish. Stay away from the big, vague goals. Coach Taria talks about how when we're talking about what we do and it's sounding so just, poetic, that big, vague goal can sound real good, but you know what you're not going to do? That. You're not going to do that. So the example that I have in here, because we're about to be at the new year and people start setting those health goals every year. I want to get healthy. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean you want to get healthy? Is your blood pressure too high? Is your cholesterol too high? Do you need to lose weight? Do you need to lose inches? Are we talking about building muscle? Do you need to increase your strength? Like, what are we saying? There's so many questions, because get healthy is one of those big, vague goals. And we're annihilating that. Instead, you would say, I'm going to walk 30 minutes a day. And then you say how many days you're going to do it. That's specific. Or you're going to exercise 15 minutes a day using your Pilates person that you follow on YouTube. That's specific. You're saying what you're going to do, and you're saying when you're going to do it. Okay, 5 days a week or whatever's realistic for you, realistic and relevant. For this example, it's 5 days a week. Now, for you, you may say, when I'm looking at my calendar, I can do realistically 3 days a week. That's fine. You're not comparing this against somebody else. Please stop. Please stop. For the people in the back, please stop. If you say, Miss Nichica, realistically, I can only do 2 days a week. Fine. If you're going to commit to those 2 days for that 30 minutes or that 15 minutes, then do the 2 days. Because consistency is what's going to make the difference in your life. The next thing is measurable. Ensure you can track progress with concrete numbers or observable indicators. Okay? So it gives the example of tracking your steps, the distance that you're doing. Again, this is in line with the walking example. The duration each day using an app or a journal. Most people have the app on their watch or their phone. You want to make sure it's something you can track. Make sure it is something you can track. Specificity, you have to say that slow, and measurement transform intention into actionable commitments. When you can see your progress, you stay motivated. And that's true. I don't care how disciplined you are. If you don't see the fruit of your labor, we all get disheartened. So when you're tracking it, that's showing you your fruit. When you know exactly what you're aiming for, decision making becomes simpler. Now, what I have suggested to individuals who say, I want to lose weight by doing this ABCD. So they're going to walk or they're going to do a combination of things, that's fine. When they talk about measurable, the thing that they always want to do is the scale. I'm going to get on the scale and see how much I weigh. Well, that's not actually the best way if we're being honest. And you say, why? Because as you start gaining muscle, guess what you're going to do? Gain weight. And that can be discouraging. So, actually, a more efficient way is to measure the different parts of your body. So, you measure your left arm, your right arm, you measure around your waist, you measure each thigh, and you track it weekly. The scale, if you have one of those that can read like your body mass, your fat and all that kind of stuff, then okay. But still, you have to pay attention to that data versus just how much you weigh, because there's also going to be a point where you hit a plateau and your weight may not change, but you might lose inches. There's going to be a point, like I said, where you're going to gain muscle. And that's what you want to do, because lean muscle burns fat. So think about all those things. Achievable. The goal should be realistic and within your current capacity, considering your resources, time, and circumstances. So when I said earlier that for you, it may be that you can only do 2 days a week. That's fine. That's what's achievable for you. Do that, because doing 2 days a week versus doing 0 days a week, you have to look at it from the right perspective. Relevant. The goal must connect meaningfully to your larger purpose and long-term vision. It should matter in the context of your life. So don't try to just jump on a trend. One thing my husband always says, every trend ain't your friend. You know, he gets into these moods where he like to rhyme. Every trend ain't your friend. Don't. And it's, oh my gosh, it's hard not to, especially with TikTok and all these different things that thrive off of trends. Do not connect your goals to a trend. Connect it to your vision. Make sure it's relevant and connected to your why. If it's not, you will fall off. You will fall off. Yes, we know in the back of our mind, if you're healthy, you have the potential to live longer. In the back of our mind, that's important. But in the moment, is it important in the moment? I don't know. You have to answer that question. Is it important enough to turn off the TV? and do that Netflix binge after you work out? Is it important enough to stop scrolling? Is it important enough to do it even when you've had a full day? I don't know. You have to decide how relevant it is. And when you start seeing that it's not relevant, then you need to reevaluate, because that means that this is not truly connected to your why, or your why is not truly connected to you. One of the two. Time bound. Set a clear deadline or specific time frame. Deadlines create healthy urgency and prevent endless procrastination. So it takes 90 days to get a good solid habit. However, you have to break that 90 days down. You can't just say, I'm going to do this for 90 days. How are you going to do it? You break it down and track it weekly. You celebrate yourself weekly. This is how many days I'm going to do this week. And eventually you will increase the number of days or increase the time. So from 15 minutes to 30 minutes, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And you give yourself a deadline. Week 1 and 2, I'm doing 15. Week 3 and 4, I'm doing 30. And might go into week 5. Week 6 and on, I'm going to do 45 minutes. That's my max. That's a time-bound, clear deadline, specific time frame for yourself. And it's creating it in a way that is not overwhelming. So if you watched my podcast where I had Bruce Hill on there, one of the things that he talked about was committing to reading 10 to 15 minutes a day. And he gave a startling statistic that I had no idea of. He said once a person graduates high school, they read 0.8 books a year. Not 8 books a year, 0.8. I said, oh my gosh. What? 0.8. And then he said, if a person reads 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, you would accomplish 12 books in a year. That's breaking it down versus just saying, hey, Crystal, versus just saying, I'm going to read 12 books this year. That's a big, vague goal. Big, vague goal. You got to break it down. I'm going to read 10 minutes a day, 7 days a week, starting on this day, ending on this day. And then you have to figure out what category of book you want to read. Now here's me. This is just, Nichica. If you're spending that time reading romance novels, how is that helping you or your business? You're getting lost in somebody else's fantasy. Okay, I ain't knocking romance novels. I'm just saying what I'm saying. Hear me out. If you spend that time reading based on the problem you're trying to solve, based on the behaviors you're trying to grab, the principles you're trying to understand, how much better will you be, and how much better will you be for your clients? You can either get lost in someone else's imagination, which, when you're on vacation, hey, if that's what you want to do while you're on the beach, whatever. But I would encourage you that if you're going to make this a goal, again, the goal has to be connected to your why, which is connected to your purpose, which is part of your vision. You see how it all, works together, connecting the dots and everything. Yes, Noreen, point 0.8 books a year. When he gave that statistic, my mouth hit the floor, and I struggled to pick it up because I could not. And then I started thinking about my own self, like, how many books have I read? You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. It's a lot to comprehend because it also speaks to why there is a very small percentage of people getting the majority of the wealth. They all talk about reading, and they're reading specific things. Okay? So it's all connected. It's all connected. All right, so step 1 was clarifying your purpose, knowing your why. Step 2 was the SMART goal system. This is step 3. Break the goal into milestones. Large goals can feel overwhelming, those big, vague goals. The solution: break your ambitious goal into smaller, manageable milestones that feel achievable and create momentum. How much time do I have on my battery, child? Okay, 46 minutes. We're good. Identify key phases. What are the major stages between starting and completing your goal? Define milestone markers, checkpoints. This is what I talk about with my clients. We're going to have checkpoints at various points of the year based on what your time is for your goal. When we talk about time bound, what are you trying to accomplish? We're going to have checkpoints that say you should be here. Okay? Now, what happens if you don't meet the checkpoint? What happens if you don't make it to that area? We reevaluate, regroup, and see what we need to tweak. Okay? It doesn't mean that you failed. Can I just put that out there? We tend to beat ourselves up. If we understood how the 1% are constantly looking and reevaluating, we would not beat ourselves up the way we do. They literally don't expect to get it right the first time. They know there are going to be hiccups. That's why they have people in place to solve those problems. Okay? Build sequential success. Each milestone should naturally lead to the next stage. So it's like a step 1, step 2, but we're not going here. If y'all can see me in the camera, we're building step, going higher, higher, higher. Okay? We're not flatlining. We're not flatlining. This is what you need to do with your goals. And when you're thinking about, your SMART goal, breaking it down into digestible pieces. Okay? And let's go back to the example of working out. You may not be able to do the same time every single day. Even though you're working out 2 days a week, it doesn't mean that you can work out the same time. That's not realistic or relevant for you. It's not achievable for you. So when you're breaking down your goals, you're being aware of your real life. Okay? That's the best way I can put that. You're being aware of your real life. And as you reach your milestones, as you reach your checkpoints, celebrate yourself. Now, by celebrating, if you're trying to get healthy, that don't mean you go to Golden Corral or whatever the nearest buffet is. Baby, don't do that. Do not do that. There is a way to celebrate and stay in line. Okay? But you want to make sure that you identify where your checkpoints are. The planner, the profits planner, is a 90-day planner. It's based on the quarter. So you should have both weekly and bi-weekly checkpoints. That's really going to force you to break it down. It's really going to force you to see where your gaps are. Okay? So keep that in mind. The Profits Planner is a 90-day planner. And you need to have your checkpoints weekly, and then a small weekly goal, a larger bi-weekly goal. Okay? Identify resources and constraints. So when you're looking at your goal, you got to look at what you need. Okay? Resources are not just about money. People are resources. People are resources. Networking is a resource. The best money to use is somebody else's. Come on, somebody. Woo, I felt that. The best money to use is somebody else's. Success requires the right tools and support systems. For those of you that are in BPC, a big vague goal would be, I'm going to dedicate this next quarter to learning the BPC system. Oh, that sounds so commendable. Oh, congratulations. Pat you on the back. That's a big, vague goal. You have to break that down into actionable steps. One actionable step would be to be on the Wednesday call with Amna at 1:00. If you're working during that time, because many have JOBs and you can't get on at 1, then you will commit to watching the replay. Okay? And you will commit to doing it no later than Thursday. That way, if you have questions, you can reach out to Amna. And if you apply, so let's take that. Let's say you're going to commit to watching the replay or being online with Amna on Wednesday. Thursday, you're going to ask her any questions that were not clear and get those responses, which you may get them Thursday depending on the time you ask, or it may be Friday. You're going to take the weekend and apply everything she taught so that Monday you can ask her other questions, get all the tweaking done, and be ready for the next lesson on Wednesday. Very simple, but very specific. And it's a way for you to digest that BPC system, which can feel overwhelming, but do it in a way that's not going to get you overwhelmed. Okay? There's also, Coach Taria has tweaked the training. So the training is broken down, and you've got your week 1 training, right? So you can commit to the week 1 training and taking things one day at a time. There's ways to break it down. So how many hours per week can you realistically dedicate? And don't try to psych yourself out. Don't disregard your life. Don't discount your life. How many hours can you realistically dedicate, and on what days? What equipment, technology, materials, people, networks do you need? What skills or skill sets do you need to develop? Who can provide guidance, accountability, and encouragement? If you're a part of BPC, we got you in Telegram. We've got you in Telegram. That part is cool. Okay. Potential obstacles. Anticipate what could block your progress before it becomes a problem. You want to be proactive, not reactive. Okay? What are your competing priorities and time conflicts? If you're working a 9 to 5 job and you only have 30 minutes for lunch, you can't be on that video. If you're on a 9 to 5 job and they don't allow you to use your phone or use any outside things, you have to do everything after the job or on the weekends. So, is it more realistic for you to commit 2 hours a day or 8 hours on Saturday and 8 hours on Sunday? What's the most realistic for you? Maybe you can do 3 hours or 4 hours, 3 days out of the week. Be realistic about your life. What are your financial limitations? Budget constraints? Where are the gaps? Remember, I talked about the gaps that will be revealed. Be honest with yourself. What are your environmental or situational challenges? Not being able to use outside devices is an environmental challenge because that's your job. So you have to take all those things into consideration so that you can move proactively and move that needle forward. And while this sounds like, oh, commonsensical, it is. But can I tell you how many people do not do this? Every person that I worked with. Well, hello. Well, that's why I'm going over it. And I'll go over it once every quarter because we need to see the importance of the application. If you know that your budget is $200, but what you're trying to do is $500, then that means you got to fill that gap of 300. What are you going to do? It doesn't mean you need to discard the goal. It might mean you need to step up your DMs. It might mean you need to go vend somewhere and get that cash. It might mean you need to go live more often. Don't have the abandonment of the goal as your first response. Evaluate everything and see where the gaps are, what you're actually not doing that could bring more income your way. Now, if y'all have questions, put them in the chat. You do not have to wait for me to get done. Let me see. I'll check the YouTube questions at the end. So, step 5, create an action plan and schedule it. Meaning, don't just have that plan in your head or on little notepads everywhere and post-it notes all over your computer. Put it in your calendar. If it's worth your time, it goes on your calendar. And if you have been listening since day one, I have said have your digital and your paper calendar. Your checkpoints need to be on there. Your non-negotiables need to be on there. Okay? You have to have it on your calendar. We have a lot going on in our minds. We have a lot going on in our day that can throw our train of thought off. I'm gonna tell y'all. Listen. I'm gonna talk about me for a second. I'm gonna talk about me. This literally happened yesterday. Okay, so I have a Verbo property. I have a townhome in Greensboro, and I was getting it ready because I have someone coming in tomorrow. And I got into the parking lot of the Dollar Tree and I went through the couple of things that I needed to get to make sure they were fresh in my head. You know, when you walk in Dollar Tree, they got all that stuff. And it's just like a bunch of squirrels. It's just taking your attention everywhere. And child, let me tell you, I forgot. I'm standing in there. I'm like, what was the other thing that I know there's one more thing? I said, I'm not leaving here until I remember what I wasn't in there but 5 minutes because my first things I went right to. That last thing, I know them people in there thought I was crazy as a bedbug. I said, I'm not leaving until I remember. I literally walked down every aisle. I said, I'll be John Brown if I'm going to leave this place and drive all the way to this townhome and then have to come back. I bet I won't. I bet I won't. Walk down every aisle and remembered what I needed to get. But had I written it down, okay, things happen throughout our day that throw off our train of thought. And just as I had my list right there at the front door, and I crossed over that threshold, and it was like walking into another world. My mind said, pew, pew, we on vacation. We see a lot of fun things. And there it was. It can happen that easy. Your calendar, and I want you to write this down. Your calendar reflects your true priorities. So if you have a blank calendar, you don't have any priorities, ma'am or sir. You just going through trying to get done whatever you remember. I'm gonna let that marinate. Let it sit in you. Let it get in your sha-na-na. You have to organize it. When you're creating your plan, okay? When you're breaking down your goals and creating your milestones, put it in your calendar. Put it in your calendar and make sure every single day you've got your non-negotiables that you say, I'm going to get this done. This ain't being erased and moved over. I'm getting this done no matter who, what, where, when, or why. Get it done. You put it on your calendar and you're making an appointment with yourself. That's what you're doing. You're not leaving it to chance. You're scheduling an appointment with your future. You're scheduling an appointment with your purpose. Come on, somebody. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? This is why your calendar is important. You are literally scheduling an appointment with your future. And I know we know calendars are important, like in the back of our mind, but I can tell you, people don't practice it. The average person does not practice it. The average person lives off lists and they're flying by the seat of their pants. And we like to call it scatterbrained because there's no honing in, there's no prioritization. It's just everything goes. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Stop. 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 Track your progress. Track your progress and review it regularly. And this, I tell you what, this slide right here, I fixed it and it kept wanting to go back. It was being defiant. That's all right. That's all right. Track your progress. Know where you are. And again, do not beat yourself up. All it means is that there may have been something you missed. There may have been something that you were counting on that didn't come through. So you have to recalibrate, you have to adjust. That's fine. That is fine. When those of us who are elite members in BPC and we have our quarterly check in with Coach Taria, This is your opportunity to talk about those things. If you're saying, well, what do I talk to her about? This is something. Now, if you're like me, honey, I don't wait till the quarter. I don't wait till the quarter. I'm tracking throughout the week, and when I see where the gap is, I identify the person that can help me. Okay, and we know the names of the staff members, and I'm reaching out to that person. I'm not waiting till the quarter. Like I'm in the telegram, and we boom 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 boom, because I need to. I'm going higher. I'm not flatlining. I'm going higher. So let's address this gap now. That's just how I lean with it and rock with it. Okay. Tracking your progress and reviewing it regularly is imperative. It is imperative so that you know where you are. Now, one thing that Coach Taria is trying to get me to do, but I declare it ain't working. When we do our DMs and all that stuff, to put it on the little tick sheet, I can look at my phone and see how many DMs I sent out. I know how many I sent out. I can look at my phone and my appointments and see how many sales calls I had. But I am going to do the ticker sheet as I'm not. I'm not. Ain't no need in line. I'm not. I'm not. I might get it ready for our meeting. I might do it then. But it's not a part of my brain. It's not a part of my brain. When I used to be in sales and we had to do that, I loathed it. And when I got the opportunity to discard it, I did. But you have to figure out a way or work with somebody on how to track your progress. If your bank account is getting low, then there's somewhere sales are not happening. Something's not moving forward. So then why? When you're reviewing your progress, you can see why. Okay. Are you sending DMs through LinkedIn? And LinkedIn is really not where you're getting your responses. Facebook is where you're getting your responses, or vice versa. So then when you're tracking and reviewing, you can make that shift. I need to spend most of my time over here because this is where I'm getting the most response. Don't try. Oh, let's see. I got a few more minutes. Don't try to force progress. See where it's happening, tweak what you need to tweak, and pivot. Okay? If it's not happening on Instagram, see where it is happening. If TikTok is your jam, hey, make it do what it do. Do that. Just because it's happening in one area for one person doesn't mean you have to follow that path. Remember your why. Remember your goals. Remember your plan. Track your progress and review regularly. Now, Ron, when you are listening, I don't know if you're on now or if you're going to watch the replay. I'm going to ask you questions about the areas that needed to be worked on based on the information you gave last time. I'm going to ask you questions to help you break down your goals. Please make sure you are familiar with this, okay? Common pitfalls to avoid. Let me see how much time I got on my battery chair. All right, good. Common pitfalls to avoid. Child, it ran all that together. Being vague about the goal. Let go of the big, vague goals. Let it go. Let it go. Okay? You need clarity. You can't measure vague. Okay? It just don't work that way. Not scheduling time for the work. I'm going to give y'all this right here. When you're scheduling time, and I think I said this when I first started doing these lives. When you're scheduling the time, you don't just schedule, okay, it's going to take me an hour to do this. Well, do you have to drive? Do you have to set up? You're talking about an hour just to do the task. What do you have to do to prepare for the task? What do you have to do to wrap up the task? All that goes in the scheduling. All of that goes in the scheduling. Stop trying to find time. Okay? Look at your calendar. Your calendar will tell you. And if you schedule something in there that's not in alignment with either what you're doing professionally or what you're doing personally, then that's a oops. Get rid of the oops. Get rid of the oops. Third thing, the third pitfall to avoid, don't let fear or imposter syndrome, any of that get in the way. It don't have to be perfect. Y'all listen. There on this slide right here, there's errors because when I transferred Gamma to Canva, for whatever reason this time, it started running everything together, and I missed this one. It doesn't have to be perfect because the message is still the same. Okay? The message is still the same. Get it done. Then, when you're reviewing, you can see next time how to do something better. But stop trying to be perfect and stop thinking that you don't belong. Baby, let me tell you something. Every door God opens for me, you best to believe I'm walking through it with power and authority. I'm not cowering down. I'm not dimming my light. Those days are done. Okay? Those days are DUN, not DONE. They are DUN. Done. And I speak the same thing over you. You have to know that you belong in the space that you are working in and striving towards. You cannot wait for people to open the door for you. When God opens that door, walk through it and be okay. Smile and hold your head up. Okay? So let go of the big, vague goals. Do your proper scheduling and let go of the fear and the overwhelm and trying to be perfect. Just get it done. There's always going to be something you can improve upon, and you know what? That's perfect because that means you're teachable and you're always learning. Okay? Your next step, choose one goal. One goal and take it through the 6 steps that we talked about today. If you've had the big vague goals, take one of them and take it through this process. All right? And then create your timeline of when you're going to start. Your future responds to your discipline. Discipline means consistency. The person you want to become is built through the daily choices you make today and every day. And I'm going to say that again. The person you want to become is built through the daily choices you make today and every day. Consistency builds discipline. Discipline builds the future that you want. So, let me go back because we are at our 2:00 time. We're going to stop sharing. If y'all have any questions, definitely put them in the chat. If you're watching the replay, hit replay. Let me see what's going on. Let's get back here and here. I see that it's minimized my screen. All righty. Okay. So We'll be back second and fourth Friday. If you have not gotten your Profits Planner, make sure you put hashtag replay or replay with any questions that you have. And Ron, when you're watching, be ready for the next session, or I'm just going to go for broke on my own. All right. You guys have a fantabulous weekend. Thank you, Noreen, for always tuning in. Thank you, everyone. Brittany and Crystal, appreciate you all. Have a fantabulous weekend, and I'm going to holla at you later. Bye-bye.